I had a post recently on my short reel in response to a comment that which was, how do you know so much about personal finance and money and financial literacy? Like, how did you learn all of this? And so my response was a reel that I posted saying pretty much, I read a lot of books. Like, I just spent a lot of time reading a lot of books. And I feel like I know so many people don't like hearing that because a lot of people don't like to read, and it feels like you have to do like all this work and homework, and it feels like a chore, more than it feels like something that you could actually enjoy. But I really do feel like it's worth it. So I really do think that if you have not started reading books about money, or it's something that you just haven't really got around to, or maybe there's just the same kind of books that you keep seeing in circulation and you kind of are looking for something different, that was kind of why I wanted to share this video and share some books that I feel like could work no matter what age, no matter what generation, and no matter what like stage or era you're in when it comes to your finances. So I'm going to share a couple of those, and let me get started. I'm going to start with my list for babies, because I definitely get a lot a lot of questions about the babies. What resources, what books do you have for kids? How do I get my like younger kids into it, etc.? So that's what we'll start with. Okay, so I'm going to start with the baby book. If you have like a toddler or even just like kindergarten, first grade and under, this is probably the best book that I found just to introduce the idea of money. It's called M is for Money, and it's written by Rob Phelan, who's actually a good friend of mine. He's a teacher and works in financial literacy education, and also has advocated for financial literacy to be added more into schools. Just really great guy all around. And when he reached out to me when he was putting this book together and asked me to to like help give feedback and also to get a blurb for the book, I was really excited because I personally have not really seen a lot of money books that are as fun, diverse, colorful, engaging for like a really, really little kid. So if you get the book M is for Money, you'll see inside of the book there's like some praise written by people who got a chance to read the book earlier. And I was one of the people who got to read the book early, which was really nice. But what I really loved about it and what stood out to me was really, again, like how colorful the book is, how diverse the characters are. There are characters of all races, ethnicities. The names of the characters are very diverse names. It's not all just like one kind of family or one type of character. Like, there's so much representation. And there's something that I notice with books for kids. And if you're a parent or if you're a teacher, you probably notice this when it comes to little books for little kids. A lot of times the characters are animals. So it'll be like, the squirrel went over here and the ducks over there and the horses went that way. This book is actually with real people. Like, the characters are not animals, they're actually real kids. And the stories are of their families and their experiences, which I think is super cute. And it's basically the ABCs of money, right? M is for money, but every letter in the alphabet teaches you something else related to money. And, again, I really love just how much representation there is, how colorful it is. It's such a cute book. And I definitely recommend it for little like kids, really young learners. Let me see if I can find my no, I can't find it in here. But if you go to either wherever you buy the book, either on Thrift Books or Amazon or wherever you buy it, if you look at like praise for the book, you'll probably see my blurb that I wrote for the book, which was like, it's just such a really great resource for like your littlest kids to learn early exposure about money, just the concept of money, the vocabulary of money. So this book is really cute, really good. I definitely got a bunch of copies of it so I could give it to my nieces and nephews, the younger ones. And so I really like that book, and I do recommend it if you have kids that are still at that age where you're reading aloud to them. Or if you're like, a lot of my friends, like, I'm a millennial, a lot of my friends are starting to have kids. And so when they have a baby shower or when they have the first birthday party for their kid, instead of buying toys or instead of bringing, whatever gift you would typically get, this makes the perfect gift to bring for a kid's party or for a baby shower. So M is for Money, first book. Second one is Priceless Facts About Money. I really love this book. I think this could be slightly an older age. So anything from like maybe 7 years old up to like 13 years old. it's really, really interesting because it has a lot of the history and the data, like information about money that most even adults don't know. And it was written by Melody Hobson. She's an incredible businesswoman and had a successful corporate career. She's doing incredible things at Ariel Investments. So not only is she, preaching about financial literacy for kids, but she's living the life. She's walking the walk and talking the talk. And I got a chance to meet her. She gave me an autograph in this actual book right here. I'm pretty sure this is the one she signed for me. I have a couple of copies of it because I bought a bunch for my nieces and nephews. But here she wrote to Melody and Amara, which are my nieces. And so I'm going to give this copy to them. And I have a bunch of more copies of this for my other nieces and nephews. But the reason why I love this one is because, again, just how detailed it is with so much information. There's stories of the characters. It's her and her co-owner of Ariel Investments, and they kind of go talking about what their younger selves, and then it starts getting into 1,000 years ago. This is how money worked, and these are all the different things that you need to learn about the history of money and how money is made and printed, and fun facts about coins and other things that people used as money, clams and cheddar cheese, actual cheese and shells and all kinds of things. Saving your money, splitting it into different buckets, giving, saving, and spending. It's just like really great for kids to learn, and also a little bit of an older audience because of the text is a little bit more dense versus something like M is for Money, which is obviously for like pre-K age, kindergarten age. This one is a lot more elementary school and even middle school. It could really help with their projects if they're doing like a book report, or if they're doing a research project about money. This is definitely a great book for that type of project, or that type of homework assignment, or even over the summer you could have your kids work on it. So I really love Priceless Facts About Money for kids that are elementary and middle school age, so upper elementary and middle. Now, once your kids get to the point where they start wanting to make their own money, I highly, highly recommend Make Your Own Money, which is How Kids Can Earn It, Save It, Spend It, and Dream Big by Ty Allen Jackson, a good friend of mine. Love the work that he's been doing. He wrote another series of books called Danny Dollar, which it has chapter books. One of them is like The Lemonade Escapade, and Danny Dollar is like the main character. And this book is sort of a continuation of that character, Danny Dollar. But in this one, he's all about becoming an entrepreneur. So he talks about how he wants to make money and the business that he wants to start. And there's a bunch of really great examples in here of actual real life kids and how they're making money, which I think is the coolest part of this book, is to actually learn from real kids and how they're making money. Like, what are the things that they're doing? So it talks about some different ways that kids make money and how you can make a business plan if you want to start your own business, what you want to do. It talks about the different parts of the business plan, and then like breaks it down with some examples. So if you want to sell lemonade, this is what you could do. If you want to mow lawns, if you want to shovel snow, if you want to do washing care when it's muddy, washing cars when it gets muddy. And then just all of these different examples of things that you could do to make money. So you could literally pick any one of these: raking leaves, styling people's hair, making hot cocoa, selling baked goods, teaching kids how to play basketball, walking people's dogs, um, repairing bikes, selling popsicles, helping with birthday parties. All of these ideas to help kids just start thinking creatively, like, oh, I guess I don't have to wait till I get hired at a job. I could make my own work right now. I could generate my own income and create my own source of income if I have an idea for a business. So it's very much focused on how to grow a business, how to take an idea that you have, a skill or a talent, and turn it into a business so you can generate income, and then how to market your business, how to grow your business, even as a kid. So I love this book because it teaches kids about the word kidpreneur, which is an entrepreneur who's a kid. And again, it just gives them a bunch of ideas, a bunch of examples. It talks about real kids who've done it. So like towards the back, here you can see entrepreneur rock star Kane Monroy. You can see Kane's story, what he does for money, how he made money. You have, Believe You Can Do It. Here's some examples, and Danny Dollar's in there. And then there's different worksheets that you can find on the different pages, questions that they can answer. So it kind of becomes a guided little activity here with guided questions and some vocabulary words, a part of their business plan. Like, again, this is just so great. Once a kid is a little older and is trying to get creative around like making money, I will say I've been posting a lot of videos on my Instagram reels about custodial Roth IRAs, and saying that if you have a kid, or if you know a kid or a teenager who is under 16 or under 18, that they can generate income and they can take a little piece of their paycheck and put it into a custodial Roth IRA. Even if you're not 18, you can still invest a piece of your earned income. And so many people have been saying, oh no, you can't do that. If you're 10 years old, you can't work a job. No one's gonna hire a 10-year-old. There's child labor laws. It's like ridiculous how negative people are when you start talking about kids working. But I think again, the idea is that generating income could be done in so many creative ways. Kids have a lot of hobbies nowadays that they can monetize, from gaming and streaming to social media to literally making things with their hands, like making bracelets, making slime, making candles, making soap. I think that adults are way more likely to pull out their wallet and buy something from a little business if it's from a small business, it's from if it's from a little kid, versus buying something from a grown adult standing on the corner selling, candles and slime. Like, there's something about the fact that you're a cute little kid who's taking an entrepreneurial approach and making your own income that adults love. Adults love to support it. So while you're still cute and little, that's the perfect opportunity to capitalize on that and start doing something with a business, something that you love, something that you're passionate about, and turn that hobby into a business. I really do think every kid has the potential to do it. And even if it doesn't become a business that they end up, running it for the rest of their lives, it can still be a really great short-term project that teaches them leadership skills, teaches them organization, teaches them marketing skills, teaches them communication, it teaches them how to pitch themselves, how to sell, how to promote things that they want to promote. It teaches them so many skills in life that are going to serve them even if they don't go into business and entrepreneurship. It's still beneficial to them to learn those skills. So I would definitely say, that this one is such a good one. How to Make Your Own Money by Ty Allen Jackson. Slightly older than elementary school. So I would say probably upper elementary and middle school, but still a really good one. Now, if they're already in high school, so I'm talking 8th, 9th, 10th grade, then I would definitely say Money Out Loud by my girl, Berna Anat. Berna is hilarious. And this book literally is such a reflection of her exact true personality. It is so spot on for how she makes finance so fun. She teaches so many lessons in here, but she does it from an approach of really being rooted in community, right? Because in the US and a lot of Western culture kind of pushes that money is you're doing this by yourself. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, figure it out by yourself individually. And in her book, she says, well, that works for some people, but for a lot of other people, that might not work. And it's okay if you don't like the individualism of that. You can still take it and make it community based. You can make it more of a collective approach, a collectivist thing. And so she talks a lot about ideas for how to use your community, your family, your friend groups to make financial literacy fun, to make money management fun, to make saving and budgeting fun, and to really bring people into it so it feels like you're doing this in community with people that you love and people that you like, and making it a group thing so that way you're not bored out of your mind doing it all by yourself. So this is Money Out Loud, Berna Nat. Definitely highly recommended for high school students. It's like youth literacy. When you go to when you go to Barnes and Noble, or when you go to a bookstore, you're gonna see it's under the YA, young adult section. So it's gonna definitely be for like a younger reader, but so worth it. Honestly, even if you're a freshman in college, you'll enjoy it because it's really a good read. All right. So then my next book is going to be college, right? So you're already in college. Let's say you are either applying to college, maybe you're a senior in high school applying to college, or you're a freshman or sophomore in college. Definitely get your hands on Financial Literacy 101 for college students. This is by my boy Chris Corinthian, a good friend of mine. Again, like, this book is such a good reflection of his work ethic. Like, he poured himself into this book, and I think Chris did a great job of saying, like, what is everything that I wish I knew when I was in college? What is everything I wish that somebody had really instilled in me when I was just starting to figure things out? And especially in college, if you choose to go to college, it's usually one of the first times in your life where you are not with your parents kind of holding your hand through every decision and watching you over your shoulder and telling you what to do and what not to do. So because it's one of the first times you're like really independent and doing your own thing, I feel like that's when it's easier to make a lot of money mistakes. So getting a book like this and learning financial literacy basics while you're in college is so helpful. And one of my absolute favorite things about this book that he talks about is getting scholarships even while you're in college. So he talks a lot about tuition, tuition assistance, getting student jobs like federal work study programs, understanding the difference between subsidized and unsubsidized student loans. An entire chapter is about loans. And then, but obviously when you jump in, the very first book is all about free money. So filling out your FAFSA, making sure you do that every year. My absolute favorite part is when he talks about his strategy for getting scholarships, which is that you write a specific series of essays that address different topics, which he includes in the book. And then you can copy and paste those and just tweak them a little bit. Once they're all written, you can copy and paste them depending on what application you're filling out and what it asks you for the prompt. You can get the appropriate closest essay that would answer it. If you need to make some changes, it's fine. But for the most part, you're going to pretty much use that bare bones template. So if you have, he calls it the five essays that you need, then each one would fit a specific type of question, right? So if the question is asking you about adversity that you faced, okay, you're going to pull the adversity essay. If the question is asking you to talk about a vision for your future and what you wish to accomplish, okay, boom, you're going to pull out the essay where you talked about your vision for your future and what you want to accomplish during and beyond college. So he gives you these very specific prompts, and then he goes through a protocol, a system that he created where you're applying constantly over and over and over again to different applications for scholarships, because it's a numbers game. And he says that you probably will get like a 10% success rate. So if you want to get $100,000 in scholarships, you need to apply for $1 million of scholarships, because 10% of that will be 100,000. And if you need $10,000 in scholarships to help you fully fund the remainder of what you owe for college, well, then you should be applying to $100,000 worth of scholarships. So if you get 10% of those, that's 10,000. So his whole approach is that it's a numbers game. So you just got to keep applying, keep applying, keep applying. But his book makes it really simple to keep in mind the basics of financial literacy while you're in school, but also that framework for how to make sure you're doing the right approach so you can maximize how much scholarship money you get. So you don't have to spend so much money that you're either spending out of pocket or that you're borrowing and taking on debt in order to finance it. So you can kind of lower how much debt you take on every time you get more scholarships. So I think that is amazing, because I was a scholarship kid in college, and I know scholarships made a huge difference on me graduating college with barely any student loans, just one tiny small student loan. So I think it makes a huge difference. And the way he wrote this book is super approachable, easy to read, very simple steps that you can follow along. So definitely get this one, Financial Literacy 101 for college students. It's a great gift for a high school student in your life, for a college kid in your life. Such a great one. All right, now let's talk about already out of college or about to graduate college, like you're a senior in college and you're graduating, or you chose not to go to college and you've been working, or you joined the military and now you're kind of adulting 101 and trying to figure things out on your own. That's where my book comes in. Mind Your Money by Yaneli Espinal. That's me. This is such a good 101 intro to money for any young adult. It's so good, especially if you like are in your early 20s and you're navigating for the first time. Should I apply for a credit card? Maybe I already have one, but I don't really understand how my credit score works and I want to improve my credit score. Maybe you have a little bit of debt already, either from student loans or from a car or some credit cards, and you're trying to figure out a quick plan to put you on the path to getting rid of that debt. Maybe you are just trying to figure out what type of bank accounts you should have. You keep hearing people talk about high yield savings accounts, but you don't know what the big deal is. Okay, this book will go through all of those topics: banking, budgeting, investing, your money mindset, your credit score, paying off debt. I mean, all of the like most basic Lego blocks of understanding money. And I really do think it's kind of like a crash course in money that I wish I got when I was in school. So I think if you are in your early 20s, if you are a little bit like ready for like the more mature next step of your life in terms of your money, you really are not trying to play around anymore. You want to get serious about improving your credit score. You want to get serious about investing and learning how the stock market works. You want to get serious about creating the right bank accounts and not just have the same bank account that your mom and dad opened for you when you were 14. Like, this is really kind of moving into hashtag adulting when it comes to money and doing things kind of on your own. So love this one. It really focuses on putting money lessons in the book, but sprinkling it throughout funny stories of my life. So hopefully it makes it a little bit easier to read than if you were to just read like a traditional old money book, or like it feels like a textbook about money. I really try not to make this book feel like that. So hopefully it's approachable and more engaging, but I do think it gives you like the core main money lessons that most adults like wish they had sooner. And once you're in your late 20s and early 30s, you definitely should have these skills by then. So if you're at that age, late 20s, early 30s, and you're still kind of like, I'm not really quite where I want to be with money, Mind Your Money. Get you a copy. All right, let's see. Yeah, for some reason, I don't know. My Instagram won't let me go live right now. I can't click the go live button that I usually click. It's not even clickable. Oh, sorry, Instagram. Y'all not getting me today. Hey Miss, God bless. Thank you so much, Andy. Appreciate that. Michael says these ideas are great, but what this book is most likely neglecting is customer acquisition. Yeah, I mean, they're kids. So I think the hard part is going too deep into the weeds with kids for those types of younger books. And honestly, like I mentioned before, if you're a kid and you set up a little lemonade stand, you're gonna get a couple customers just for the fact of how cute. Adults will be like, oh, look, let me go support this kid. How cute, right? Like I remember one time I was leaving out of the I think it was the Amtrak station. Yeah, I was coming off the train at the Amtrak station, and I think I was in Massachusetts. I got off the Amtrak station and I was waiting to get an Uber to pick me up. And while I was standing there waiting, I noticed out the corner of my eye a little girl with Girl Scout cookies. She had set up a table outside the train station and she was selling Girl Scout cookies. And I usually wouldn't even pay no mind. I would just keep walking. But I noticed that not only was she adorable, but she had a sign that said, "Help me earn my financial literacy badge." And I was like, "Oh, okay, now I have to go buy these cookies. Like, I have to support her. How cute is that? She's trying to earn the financial literacy badge." So I went up to her. I started asking her, "Oh, what's the financial literacy badge?" And she started telling me that when you get the financial literacy badge in the Girl Scouts program, you learn about all of these things around money, like how banks work and different accounts that you could get. Like a bank account could be like a checking account or a savings account, and how you have to like be really responsible when you borrow money and what interest is, all of these things. Like, and she was probably maybe 9 years old. So even though she didn't necessarily know, not explicitly learn like customer acquisition, I do think that there's going to be a lot of a higher percentage chance that you're going to start getting customers to your business if you're a child with a business, because of just the nature of adults being like, oh, how adorable. And of course, using social media to promote could be really great. But using the community around you, using your family to spread the word, tell your parents to talk to their coworkers, your aunts, your uncles, your cousins, like that kind of thing tends to work really well. All right, let's see. I agree you're important. Educate kids on financial literacy. Yes, it is. I'm a business owner and it's so important to teach my kids how money works. That's right. You have to, because a lot of schools don't start teaching financial literacy until they're already in high school. And I really do think it's something that they should be learning from a young age. So that's why I wanted to include some books from as young as kindergarten all the way to like, middle school and high school as well. Okay, so we talked about how Mind Your Money could be a really great one for you if you are starting to like do your adulting situation by yourself. Now, Mind Your Money really gives you the basics, right? But I really love this one, But First Save 10, which is such an incredible book. Like truly, Sarah Catherine Gutierrez, I met her at a conference called Economy probably 2 years ago. She spoke on stage and she was so amazing. She had such a great presence. I ended up getting a copy of her book a few weeks later because I really wanted to support her, but I wanted also to read the book. And it was such a great book. Like, I truly feel like every 20 something year old should get this book when they start their first job. Because as soon as you get your first big girl, big boy job and you start getting, a paycheck that's consistent, that's the opportunity for you to really start setting up systems and strategies early on that you stick to throughout your working career. And that's what this book is all about. It focuses on setting up a system for yourself where you make a promise to yourself from day one of starting your career that you're going to consistently work towards this big goal. And the big goal is to save 10, which means 10 times your salary. And that's just your first big money goal. If you can save 10 times your salary, that will put you on a path to be much more likely to have a dignified retirement compared to a lot of, unfortunately, a lot of Americans who are not prepared financially for retirement, who don't have a dignified retirement. For whatever reason, they're really struggling. Maybe they didn't have enough money in retirement. Maybe they thought their investments were going to do better than they did. Maybe they didn't have the right asset allocation and they didn't, correct their portfolio along the way and adjust it. Whatever the issue is, for some reason, a lot of adults just don't have enough to have a comfortable retirement. And I see this in my real life. Like, I'll sometimes go to the supermarket to buy some things for my fridge. I'll go pick up some things for the weekly groceries. And I'll just look around the supermarket and I notice some of the workers there are much older, like much, much older. And I'm just like, they should, it makes me feel bad. Like they should be resting. They should be enjoying, the older age, being able to rest after so many decades of working, like that's the age and the years where they should have a chance to relax. And instead, it's not that they want to get up and go work a lower paying job, like bagging supermarket groceries or ringing people up at the supermarket, but a lot of them, it's because they don't have a choice, because they have to work and they have to get whatever job they can get, because they need to supplement whatever bit of savings they do have in retirement. They need to supplement it, and they need to close the gap to be able to actually sustain themselves and keep paying their bills and keep living, comfortably in retirement. So I really do think, if I had read something like this, and if every 20 something gets this book, you get this big goal right off the bat. You know exactly what you're saving for and why that goal is, and different ways you can achieve it. And also, it's not like the same number for everyone. So one of the things that I get really frustrated is when people talk about retirement, they're like, oh yeah, you need at least $1 million to retire. Every single adult doesn't need the same amount of money to retire. Everyone is different. We all spend money differently. We have different values. We all have different incomes, different standard of living, different lifestyles, different expectations. So there's no reason why we should all be throwing a million, 2 million, 2.5 million around when everybody's number is going to be different. And so I really love the fact that she says, start with your salary and 10x it and make that your savings goal and work towards that. And she talks obviously a lot in the book about all the different strategies and approaches that you can use to try to hit that goal and organize your money correctly right out the gate. So, love this one. But first, save 10, the one simple money move that will change your life. All right. So now we kind of talked about beginner books, just starting to get a taste of finances on your own as an adult. But now let's talk about, it's getting a little more serious. You're starting to get into that point where you've been adulting for a little while, you've mastered the basics, you got your checking account set up, you got your high yield savings account set up, you got multiple money buckets and savings accounts going, you have a good credit score, you set up your different credit cards, you have maybe some life insurance, you have your 401k at your job, you've got all the basic check boxes checked. But now you want to start leveling up, and you want to start getting a little more involved in your own investment portfolio. You don't want to only have that 401k at your job or the 403b at your job and that's it. And like, you're not investing outside of that. So maybe you have some savings and you want to start investing and you don't really know much about investing and you want to start. Highly recommend Just Keep Buying by Nick Majuli. Excellent read. Such a good book. Like, when I tell you, it is so full of data that it is overwhelming how much data there is to show that all you have is just keep buying. Literally the name of the book. And it probably could be a 7-word summary for the book. Just keep buying cash flowing, appreciating assets. That's the big thing that Nick focuses on in this book. And Nick is also a really good friend of mine. And if you don't know the blog that Nick writes, it is called Of Dollars and Data. Excellent blog. So many good blog posts on there. He posts a new blog post every single Monday. So there's so much content on there. And a lot of the blog posts actually inform some of the chapters of the book. But what I love about the book, it is so simple, and it doesn't give you like just a one path to wealth, which, as much as I love JL Collins, and I'm always going to be, to the day I die, I'm going to be preaching and telling everyone to read JL Collins's book called The Simple Path to Wealth. That book takes the passive approach to investing, which is to just index fund and chill. Buy yourself a couple index funds and let it ride, right? Set it and forget it. Nick's approach is not necessarily against that or different from that. It's just saying that is one way, that is one approach, and there are also many others. So if you're just interested to learn many ways that you could build wealth by just continuing to buy over time, there's lots of different cash flowing, appreciating assets that one could buy, and that could lead you to wealth. There's not only one path to wealth. So that's what I really love about Nick's book. And so if you've never heard of it, I don't know where you've been. It's a very successful book. Just Keep Buying probably sold over 200,000 copies at this point. So it is such an incredible read, and I definitely recommend it for you once you are past the basics. Once you're like over the, financial literacy 101, I got the banking, I got the budgeting, I got the credit, I got all those basic topics. Now I'm ready to really get serious about investing and learn more. Just Keep Buying. All right, my last 2 books that I have here, and then we're going to wrap this up. I would say one of the biggest things that I feel like people neglect when it comes to money is the money mindset. And not only money mindset, but the ability to have conversations about money, because money is such a sensitive topic. People it's so personal for people, right? And for some people, it brings up shame. For some people, it brings up embarrassment. Some people, it brings up, trauma. For some people, it drives them. It's the only thing that motivates them in life. And for other people, they could care less. There's something else that motivates them and has nothing to do with money. And for other people, they think money is bad. They think money. So because we all have these like money scripts, these money stories that we tell ourselves, it's really hard to find someone who's going to align with you perfectly with everything when it comes to your beliefs about money. And it's not important for you to go looking for someone who aligns with you perfectly with money, but it does matter that you're able to talk openly about money with people, whether those are your friends, whether that's your family members, whether that's your romantic partner, whether it's your boss, your colleagues, your children, whatever. You have to be able to talk openly about money without getting hysterical, emotional, without fighting. You have to be able to have healthy conversations about money. And so that's why I think this book is really amazing, because it focuses on that. This is Broke Millennial Talks Money by Erin Lowry. She's incredible. Another blogger of many, many years. If you haven't read the Broke Millennial blog, definitely a great one to check out. She has a series of 3 books. This is one of the 3, which I love in the Broke Millennial series. And this one, I would say, is probably my favorite because it really just does focus on conversations, talking about money. And not only the idea of talking about money, but the actual talking about money, the doing of it, like the practice of talking about money. So in the book, she actually includes scripts that you can use, which is amazing. Like if you just turn and open to any random page, you're going to see how to talk about money, literally word for word. So I just opened to a random page 124. Here's how you can tell your spouse that you want to send some money to your family. Okay, so if you and your spouse are joint bank accounts and you need to send some money to your family and it's a sensitive subject, you haven't talked to your spouse about it, bam, here's a script. Babe, it's important for me to help my cousin, my brother, live in a more comfortable life than they can afford on their own right now. Okay, or put your own personal reason. Part of how I've done this is by sending them financial support, this much money, this much frequency. So $500 a month, $50 a month. And now that we're becoming our own family, I would really like to discuss with you, how would that make you feel? And what are your expectations about providing financial support to my family? Open it up, just bring it up, that topic. And sometimes the hardest thing is finding the words to even just bring up the topic. And we're so afraid. We drum up these like negative imagination, like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so bad, this is going to be so hard to say, I'm not going to be able to talk about it, they're going to hate me when I say it. And so we can't even find the words. So the hardest part is just getting it out of the way, saying it, just like out with it, because once it's out there, they heard it, now you can actually get to the part where you talk about it. So I really love that this book is filled with so many different scripts for different situations and scenarios where you got to talk about money with somebody. And for whatever reason, you're not feeling, up for it, or you don't have the words, just literally practice them from here. They're right here. You can jot them down. You can record in a little voice note, play it over and over again in your ear until you feel comfortable saying it. You can even make a voice note and send it to somebody via text. And then, hey, babe, when you get home, I want to talk about this. And then read word for word the script and say it. Like, whatever helps you to just get the ball rolling on that conversation, just do it. And this book helps you to do it. So I really do think this one is the next step after you've mastered all of the different aspects of your financial situation and you're good with your money. The next part is going to be talking about money, because now you might want to help other people by putting them on or being able to share what you've done or ask questions, and just kind of decide what are the expectations around money in this family or with my partner or, with my parents or whatever, whoever it is that you love and that matters to you that you're talking to about money. And if you're not talking to anybody that you love about money right now, hello, even more reason why you want to grab a copy of the book so you can get started talking about money with people that you love, because it's so, so important. All right, last one. And then we wrapping this thing up because I've been going on for a long time. The last one is How to Retire with Enough Money. And this is by Teresa, I don't want to butcher her last name, Ghilarducci. And I actually have interviewed Teresa Ghilarducci before on a podcast. And she's amazing. She works in research that kind of gives her the data that she needs to really be able to write. She has a series of books, but in this one, she talks a lot about how to actually do it. And especially if you're older. So this one I would say is probably for once you're over 40 and you're really starting to seriously start thinking about like, okay, my retirement is 10, 15, 20, 30 years away, depending on, how old you are going to be when you retire or when you plan to retire. But it's never too late or never too early to start thinking about retirement and what does it actually look like, the numbers of it, the different strategies you can take. In this super short book, I mean, it is such, you can see it's a tiny little one and it's so short, easy read, super easy to read. It's got so much packed in this tiny book. And one of the things that I really love about it is that it's actually approachable. She's not telling you right off the bat, fire movement, you come up with your fire number, 25x your salary. I think as much as that helps some of us who are like money nerds, I think it kind of like it's off-putting for like regular, everyday, normal people who are not obsessed with money like that. To tell someone coming up with 25 times your salary in an investment account, that can be really scary and could scare them away. And so in this book, I really love that she doesn't go straight to that. She says that there's other strategies and tactics. So if you can hit 8 to 10 times your salary, that's the starting point. And then she talks about all the other ways that you can supplement that amount so you can have a comfortable retirement. And she gives strategies for different people based on the different salaries and different situations. So I definitely think if you're older or if you have like a mentor or, an auntie or your mom or dad, and they're already starting to think about retirement, this is such a good book for them because it gives informational, like data information that kind of backs up concepts in the book, but it's very much also the practical things that you can do and math that you can do, calculations you can do, resources that you can go look up right now so that you can put together a plan so you can actually know how much you need to retire and then put yourself on a path to do that. So how much you need, or no, how to retire with enough money and how to know what enough is. Teresa Ghilarducci. All right, so those are the books that I picked from my library. As y'all can see behind me, I have way more. I have a lot more books, and that's only part of my library. So I might do like an ongoing series of just sharing more books. There's a couple of newer books that I recently got in the mail that I'm starting to read now. So once I read those books and kind of have my opinion and I can see if I want to recommend them, I can talk more about those too. But I just wanted to put this video up because I feel like so many people were asking me, how do you learn about money? How do you know all this? And I posted a short reel saying, oh, these are the books that I've read. But there's actually so many more books that I've read. And a lot of these books I feel like don't get as much praise and attention when people make like top 10 money books lists. There's these classic books that people always mention. And some of the ones I shared in this video today are not really like that. So I wanted to put you on because these are more like unusual. But I would tell you, so worth reading. So that's that. I don't see any questions that I didn't get to. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. But if you have a question or a comment, you can either drop it under this video. You can put it on my community tab in YouTube, or you can slide in my DMs on Instagram and let me know, and I'll try to address it in the next live.